Okay, we are alive. Okay, this is wild. This is the first time I am ever going live on YouTube, and we are just trying this out, seeing how it goes. And yeah, we're going, we're doing this. Okay, so if you've been following me for a while, you know that YouTube has kind of been a little bit more difficult for me. I would say mainly because it just takes so much more time and thinking and scripting. And I am not a very scripted person. Like, I don't really enjoy scripts. I think it kind of keeps you confined versus I think I am best when I am live. I just think you can kind of feel my energy so much more. You can kind of just, it's fun. It's great. And so, the thing that I wanted to talk about today was bringing the feminine into real estate investing and the mindset portion of it. So, if you've been around any other real estate investing communities, you know that everyone's so big on the numbers, which makes sense. Obviously, you've got to know your numbers. Here's what people don't tell you though: most of those numbers don't actually end up being what you think that they're going to be. You can run literally all of the numbers in the whole world. And when you actually take your property live, run it for a year, 2, 3 years, your numbers will probably look very different than what your spreadsheet says. And so I always try to tell people, don't get super caught up in the spreadsheet. Yes, it's important to run your numbers. I teach my students on how to run their numbers. However, real estate is both a science and an art. Like, it really is. But also, there's so much more that goes into real estate investing and getting your first property than just the numbers, right? There's the mindset portion, which I think is honestly the number one biggest thing out of all of it. If you go back and look at my journal, the year that I wanted to buy my first property, there was so much mindset work that was happening. I'd read the book Everything is Figure Outable for the first time and kind of really started delving into the personal development side of things. And if you meet a lot of real estate investors, you realize a lot of them also do a bunch of things around mindset and manifestation and things like that, but people just don't really talk about it because it's not what gets you the views and the clicks on Instagram and on YouTube or all of that. So I have decided that I'm just going to break that stereotype and bring that forth to anyone who is looking to get started investing in real estate. And so when I think about, I get this question from so many people. They're like, "How do you always get what you want?" And let me tell you, I do not always get what I want. But I do believe that everyone has the power to get what they want, what they truly deeply want inside. We all have it within us to manifest whatever it is we want in this life. And here is the thing that I believe has made me successful in my own right, is that I always believed that whatever I wanted could and would happen. Like, deep down inside, I just didn't really have limiting beliefs around the thing that I wanted to happen. I just knew, for whatever reason, knew deep down inside of me that it was going to happen. I didn't know when it was going to happen. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I always knew that it was going to happen. And so when it comes to purchasing your first investment property, that is the first step for most people. So many people kind of go into it not realizing that they themselves don't actually believe that they can get a property because of whatever limiting beliefs that they have for themselves. Maybe it's that they just didn't grow up in a wealthy family, or maybe they haven't been good with money in the past, right? So they just don't think that they have the capability to actually purchase that first investment property, run it, and not go into crazy debt or into bankruptcy or whatever, And so having the ability to believe in yourself, to be able to actually do it, is step number one. And it's so funny because even when I'm talking with my coaching students, we do a task at the very beginning where it's like, what do you actually want? And then what are the beliefs that you have that say that you're not actually going to get it? And what people don't realize is that they just have those small beliefs inside of them that are telling them it's not going to work out. So, for example, something that could have kept me back many years ago when I was first getting my first property, I was in $25,000 worth of credit card debt. So there was literally no one and nothing telling me that should have been telling me that, oh yeah, I can pay off my credit card debt and get my first property. Like there was no real, what is it, tangible evidence showing me that I could do this. But I believed in myself and me that that was something that I could do. And I didn't stop. I was relentless, right? Like I didn't stop until I actually did it. Now, the problem with society sometimes is everyone tells you you got to be realistic. But what the heck even is being realistic? Like, really, at its core, what is being realistic? Because miracles, right? Quote unquote miracles happen every single day. People blow like things that are realistic out of the water all the time. Unrealistic things are happening every single day to people, right? And so why do we just like have it in our brains that like, oh well, we got to be realistic, we got to be realistic? A lot of the times that's almost like a cop out to say, well, I'm not going to try that hard. Like I'm not actually going to put in the effort and the energy to try hard enough to actually make that happen. Like that's kind of that, you got to be realistic. But if it's something that you really want and you want to do, realism just isn't even out of the question. And sure, yes, there's a healthy dose of being realistic, but also not. Like when I think about some of the stuff that I did, I was freaking crazy. Like had this, I tell people all the time, it's like having this undeniable confidence that something's going to happen is so key to success and so key to making something happen. Does it necessarily happen within the timeline that you expect? Sometimes, no, it doesn't. And, I would even argue that a lot of the time it's because really in your brain, you've kind of decided that it's going to take a little bit longer, right? And I talk about a lot of this stuff because I've really kind of started to dive deep into manifestation and understanding why things happen and how things happen. And I keep seeing it pop up, not just like around people in the manifestation niche, but like in people who are real estate investors, right? Like when I look at the actions that they're taking, the things that they're putting on their vision boards. I just went to the STR Wealth Conference. And Mike Trogren, he's a big person in the boutique hotel industry and STRs, was talking so much about mindset and visualization. And so I think it's just such a disservice when you're especially working with beginners and newbies to not work on that piece, to not work on the mindset portion and the believing in yourself and the visualization and knowing that something is going to happen. So the goal there is just to not let those doubts and fears enter into your mind, like about the housing market, for example, or about interest rates, because as we have seen, plenty of people over the last year, I bought properties over the last year, even at 7.85% interest rates and they cash flow, right? Deals are out there. Where there's a will, there's a way. Like that's kind of where that comes from. It's really where there's a will, there's a way. It doesn't matter what the market is doing. It doesn't matter what's happening in like the world. Like, yes, obviously what's happening in the world matters. But if you want something to happen, you always have the power within you to make it happen. That's just, it is. So you got to trust yourself and trust your ability to figure it out and know that you can figure it out. So yeah, it's just kind of, a hard concept to grasp, especially if you grew up like in the sciences. Because remember, I used to be a chemical engineer, grew up just math, science, all of that. And so it's like a part of me always knew that manifestation was a thing, but there was nothing really there was no real evidence or data or numbers to show that, right? But the thing is like I started looking into things more, and the whole concept of manifestation parallels so much with quantum physics, which I thought was super interesting. So now I kind of want to go and read some quantum physics books. But yes, that's what I mean in terms of bringing in the feminine into real estate investing. It's not just about the numbers. It's not just about making sure that oh, you got a 15% cash on cash return. A lot of it just comes from believing that you know it's possible. Okay, that's it for today. I don't know how often I'm going to do these, but I do want to start going live more, and we're going to see how this goes. Okay, bye everyone.